Welcome to Unscripted, where every guest has a story. Every conversation begins with curiosity, and every journey deserves to be heard. Some people build careers by following a path. Oh my goodness, I'm having technical difficulties. Others build them by having the courage to keep creating a new one. Tonight's guest has spent more than a decade building at the intersection of culture, community, technology, and human connection. But what makes her story interesting isn't just where she's worked or what she's built, it's how many times she has been willing to evolve. She started as a dancer at a young age, an entrepreneur who saw a problem and decided to solve it herself. That instinct would eventually take her into Web3, digital collectibles, major global brands, and Reddit, where she helped shape experiences that reach millions of people. And today she's building again as the founder of Close, bringing AI and automation into real estate, and as the founder of Snackwise, continuing to turn ideas into products and possibilities. But behind the titles, launches, communities, and technology is a woman who has continuously had to bet on herself, walk into rooms where the future wasn't clearly defined, and figure out what came next. And that's the story we are going to uncover tonight. Not just what she built, but what it took to become the person capable of building it. Welcome to Unscripted, Bianca. How are you tonight?
Good. It's a long time no chat. I'm excited. And that
I
was a great intro. I was like, whoa, all these things I've done.
But you know what? The crazy thing is that that's just the tip of it because it might sound like a
Yeah.
lot, but you're like an onion, that hasn't been peeled because you've not just done that, you've done a lot more. And you have been a huge force in Web3, working with a lot of other companies that we haven't even mentioned, propelling them to execute and succeed at the next level. I mean, there's just so much about you. So I am excited. It has been a long time since you and I have spoken.
It's been a really long time. And yeah, I mean, not only have I done a lot in Web3, but then like I count back just the conversations or room I've sat in at like things getting ready to go. Oh my goodness, those are like hundreds, if not thousands of hours of like me sitting down with companies and getting them ready for either them launching a digital collectible or some sort of product or advising them and then it leading me to Reddit and then that path taking me somewhere else too, which is crazy.
Yes. I mean, you've spent a lot of your career understanding people. What gets their attention? Like, what gets you their attention? What makes them anticipate? What makes them trust? Has Let me rephrase that. Has understanding people professionally made it easier or harder to understand people personally based on everything that you've done in this space, outside of this space?
I wouldn't I think a better thing is like I understand community
Mm-hmm.
and that can translate into so many different things. I mean, you know better. I mean, you know just as well as I do how important community building is. It's at the center of everything, and it can be expanded into business, even for multi-billion-dollar businesses. They want to understand their community. They want to understand what are the top questions that are being asked. They want to understand how to onboard community, how to grow community. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to be surface level. It can be down to the macro
Yeah.
level and micro, like, even down to the local aspect as well. And then even growing your own personal brand. What does that community mean for you? And like, what are the things that are going to help expand a brand? And like 9 times out of 10, it's community. Um, if not all 10 times it's community. It's like what, knowing your audience. Right. And so I think
Yeah.
that me understanding companies' needs when it comes to understanding the audience insights is what's helped propel my career. But then also, me being able to apply that to the stuff that I'm building as well.
I mean, your path has not been linear whatsoever. It's
No,
like you
it's been all over the place.
Girl, it's like that little gif that we use sometimes with that woman is sitting there and there's like a lot of numbers, a lot of like geometry figures and things like that. That's kind of how I feel like you worked on so many things. But then you're also very organized because we've worked together in the past and it's like
Mhm.
you are on the go and it's like when you focus yourself on something, you execute it and it hasn't been easy and the path in this space hasn't been easy. Like what drew you to even coming and working in a space that is so volatile that we don't even know at that point where we were even going?
Yeah, I mean, just as quick and easy as I am to like launch something, I'm just as quick to shut it down. It's probably one of my weaknesses, but then also one of my strengths where I'm really quick to identify when something's working and when something's not working.
Hmm.
But like, if what got me into the space was I guess we can rewind back to like when I was 21 years old, over 10 years ago, right? Where I'm barely getting started in my career and I'm kind of lost, especially when you're so young. You're kind of lost. You don't know what you're passionate about yet. You don't know where exactly you want to grow your career. And at
Hmm.
that point, I was, I think, like a program manager for NAREP, which is, I think we talked about that actually a long time ago. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. It's a really large organization and nonprofit. They're a 501c6, not a 501c3, which means like it's almost like akin to like football, right? Where they're not
Hmm.
necessarily but with that means like trying to develop a plan, I guess, for like how to make Hispanic home ownership more attainable. And that's not something I was passionate about. That was something that I was like, but I was really great at my job. I was really great at like meeting people, how to expand programs, how to onboard local communities. So that really got me a foundation. And through them, there was this program called the Hispanic Wealth Building Program where I kind of sat down and we had a keynote speaker. I can't remember his name. I think it might have been Foster Stanback. I can't remember his last name, but he was essentially a billionaire who came in and sat down and talked about like building long-term wealth. And one of the things that he mentioned a long time ago was blockchain, how he's heavily investing in blockchain. And it wasn't the first time I had heard about it. It had been like like definitely been an ongoing thing that I had been hearing about. First heard about Bitcoin. And this is over 10 years ago now because I was in Web3 for 10 years. And so it was over 10 years. So I heard him kind of talking about that. And then I started doing a deep dive. That got me into Reddit, oddly enough, where I first started learning about Bitcoin and like joining the forums and being like really OG with it. Where Reddit really kind of was the start of a lot of Web3 projects, but where all of the like developers would get together to build. And from there, I learned about Ripple and all of these super old school projects that were like just we were all getting excited about the tech and what that meant. And that from then I started understanding what that meant. And so to me
Yeah.
at that point, it was like, oh my goodness, I can be part of something that's bigger than myself. Like this is a technology that's going to take off. And, like digital trading cards, like I totally see and can understand that, especially me, I'm a really big digital collectible person, but I'm also a real like person like likes to hold these tangible things in my hand. And to me, there being an immutable or there being this like protection layer on the blockchain for like counterfeits, forgeries. Imagine if you go on TikTok and you're bidding or on whatnot or on eBay, and then you see that there's something that can prove the authenticity of it. So I really wrapped my brain about that, and I started volunteering in the Web3 space like a long time ago. And then I started volunteering and helping on the forums for like Ethereum and blockchain on Reddit. And then I started like working like real time with some of these developers to build their marketing plan because I was really, really great at marketing. I was really great at community building. I was really great at like getting the word out there and getting people excited about this technology. And that's what got me kind of started. I mean, that's really what like the genesis of Bianca and like getting into the Web3 industry got me started. But before then, I had started a company because you mentioned I was a dancer at the beginning of this. I was a dancer because I loved dancing. Like I was a professional salsa dancer. And then I noticed that there was this gap in the industry when I was a dancer, and I built this company called World Dance Apparel, and I sold it when I was like 22. for like six figures. And that's again what, like, I was like, okay, I have this money. What do I invest my time into so I can build? And that's what got me into Web3. And then from there, I started in, like, I was officially part of the team that was for Feg when Feg really took off. That's funny enough, like how you and I got connected through David. I heard about David back then, and like me being in his spaces and talking about SHIB. And so, like, I was really OG with the community back in the day. So that's what got me started. And then from there, my career just kind of took off because I was somebody who really had a unique skill set, which is understanding this new technology, but then also understanding how to build community around it and then how to market it. Because there's really, like, you can't have a degree, even if you're from Harvard, about marketing, especially this new tech, because it's not like a one size fits all plan. You
Mm-mm.
have very specific, like, it's, so I learned how to get really good at that, and I was successful. And from there, that really took me, that, like, I was with Nifty's and I helped them launch their Game of Thrones, launch, which was terrible with the freaking salad fingers, if those remembered. And then from there,
Oh
I
my
was like helping
gosh.
so many different companies, and then it led me to Reddit. Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit more about Reddit because I think, once I saw that you went and you were working there, I'm like, that was such a perfect job for you too, based on the little time that we got to work together and what you were doing. But you are someone who gets brought into situations when things feel fragmented and people need clarity. Where does that person everyone relies on for clarity go when her own life feels unclear? What do you do?
um that's a really good question. I just figure it out, and I want to give a shout out to my husband because it wasn't until I had my daughter who really opened my eyes into finding a partner who can take care of you when you need to be taken care of. Um, and oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Don't cry because if
So
you cry, I'm going to cry. We're going to
I'm
cry
going to
together.
cry. I know, because we've had conversations
Oh
about
my
this.
God, yes. Okay,
Ah!
don't do it. This is like the first show ever that I've cried, Bianca. So you do it. We're going to do it
So
together.
yeah, I when I had my daughter, that was probably one of the moments where I felt the loneliest, because that's when I felt like everyone's exactly what you just said. Everyone's coming to me for problems. I'm a boss when I go to work. I'm a boss when I do this. I'm a boss when I do that. My mom will call me. My dad has having issues and he needs me to take care of him.
Mhm.
And now I have this little one who relies on me. And I was going through a really, I wouldn't say tough time, but I was having like a moment of awakening where I'm like, now I
Yeah.
understand all the conversations my mother's had with me about finding your perfect community, whether your husband, your best friend, somebody that you can rely on, your sister, because you need to be taken care of, and you need to take care of yourself so that you can excel in what you need to get done. And if it wasn't for my husband, I honestly don't think I would be where I'm at today, because he's my biggest champion and supporter. And I've had that with my mom, but it's different, right? Like, it's different. But when you have somebody that can take care of your needs, um, on an emotional level that your family can't, it makes you like a superwoman. And because of him, it's definitely, and my children, of course, they're my reason, but he's my support system, and he's never also dulled my shine. Like, he encourages me, he asks me the right questions, and when he notices that I need a pick me up, he's there. And so, honestly, having that support system when you're building is so incredibly important, because building is the most loneliest thing in the world. It really is.
Oh
Nobody
my
knows
gosh,
the
yes.
battle. Nobody knows the battles that you're going through. Nobody knows that you want to quit every single day. Nobody knows that sometimes when you're even building for others, right? There's been times where I'm building for others and it's still lonely, because you're working so hard to make sure that you're doing a great job and that you're putting out fires for everybody else and you're trying to keep it together. That's a lonely experience. But then it's even lonelier when you're doing it for yourself or something that you can stand on and leave a legacy. And it was in those moments with my daughter, with like getting married, with building, that it made me realize what the true important of life, like what really is important in life, and that's having a really solid community. And that's made me change too. It's given me a lot of insight into also being that person for my people,
Yeah.
and supporting my companions at work, and being understanding. Whereas before I felt like I was very quick to like just I was very selfish, but now I feel like within the last 5 years for sure, there's been a shift in my mindset that has definitely helped.
Mm. You said something very important, having that partner and that support system that is there. How do you guys deal with it together? Because you and I know firsthand, how much we put into working in this space, how much we want to succeed, especially when we're building, especially when we're helping build other companies. And it's like, this industry is 24/7 at some times, and you have to find boundaries. And how do you guys work together through it? Because, there are relationships that we've known that don't survive this space because it is very time consuming. Like you said, it's lonely. There's partnerships, there are meetings, you're trying to make it, you're trying to get the funding, you're trying to get that income coming in. So you're putting in a lot of work, and sometimes you might neglect certain areas. How do you work through those?
I think you need to have you definitely need to set boundaries. That's something that I found really difficult in Web3. That's something I found really difficult, especially starting out in your career. And like, I'm somebody that is definitely on the mindset of like in your early 20s, you should be like, you should have no time. Like, you should be grinding. But when you get to that point, especially in my age, where you're building a family, when you have other people that rely on you, when you do need to take care of those relationships, you need to start setting boundaries, especially if you are, an overachiever and a hardworking person and a top producer like I am. I think that now I've gotten to a point where my teams have understood the need of me to set that boundary, and they respect it because of they know my and they recognize my output. They know that when I'm on, and that they won't interfere otherwise. And so I think that the biggest thing has always been for me, at least, to definitely set boundaries. But then with your partner or with your family, is also making sure that you set time aside for them, and also opening up a line of communication. There's been times where my husband's like, I'm here to support you, but then when he feels like perhaps I'm being taken advantage of, or my time is not being considered, he definitely lets me know, and I listen. So I think it's a little bit of all of that, honestly.
I mean, it is a lot. It's tough to navigate, especially because you just don't work one thing. It's like you're working a family, you're working day jobs, and then you're also building two companies. It's like, how do you even navigate time, Bianca? When do you sleep?
Um, and I have a 3 month old. I don't think
Oh my God.
literally, yeah, I don't think we talked about that, but that's a good question. I mean, I think for one is when I'm at my 9 to 5, or when I'm like working on my computer, I don't leave my office until I'm done working. And when I'm done working, especially on the weekends, like everything is off. And that has been really important, especially when I was building clothes, which I sold, by the way. And now I'm building Snackwise, which is something I'm super excited about. When I was building clothes, there was definitely a period of time where I was obsessed with like getting the thing done, getting the result, finishing it, where I wasn't taking care of myself, and I was experiencing these like really crazy burnouts where I was just wanting to talk to nobody, including my husband. I just wanted to like at the end of the day sit down in front of a TV, order food in because I was exhausted, and I realized that was totally out of character for me. And for me, it was me being able to say like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm setting time aside to recharge, because it was in those moments where I was actually recharging that I had these like breakthroughs where I was finally able to break through and build something even better, than actually pushing through. So to me, I think that it's a non-negotiable. You need to set that time for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to experience burnout, and you're going to hit a plateau when you are building, where you might run into a problem and you can't even see past through it because of how exhausted you are or overwhelmed. And luckily, I've now pushed through that, where now the next thing I'm building is like I'm like breezing through it because I've run into those issues before. I know how to handle it now. And so it's allowed me to now have even more time for myself.
I love that you said that because, as a builder and as an entrepreneur, sometimes first times it's not going to go the way that you want it to go. But right, when you have that entrepreneurship spirit, it's like something doesn't work, you build something and then you build another, you build it again. It's like you continue to move forward in whatever you're doing. But I mean, you've worked in industries like where relevance changes almost overnight. Has there ever been a moment where you wondered, if I stop producing, building, or achieving, will people still value me the same way? Have that
All the
ever like
time, all the time, but I also don't give a fuck anymore. Like I've
I
gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't give a fuck if people take me seriously because I have worked with so many different companies, with so many different people, with I've produced so many great results. I've been part of really epic campaigns, so to say. So if
mhm.
somebody doesn't take me seriously, then nobody will. And also, I've learned working, I like it's impossible to be perfect. And even if you are perfect and you do everything perfect to a T, someone's still going to have an opinion of you. So to me, I've finally gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't care. And it's like what you just mentioned. I've worked in spaces and I still work in spaces. Like I'm heavily now leaning on building with AI and using AI a lot. Where like for example clothes, one of the reasons why I sold it was not because I didn't believe in it, but it was because I was starting to get to a point, and this happened a lot in web3 where I had to sit back and say, oh man, I don't know if I believe in this project that I'm associating myself in anymore, because
Yeah.
times are changing and I'm noticing that there is a new wave or a new cycle within the web3 community where I don't think this product's going to be relevant anymore. And it's not because it's a bad product and it's not because it's something that was built poorly. It's simply because times are changing and things are evolving so fast that you need to evolve with it or you're going to be left behind. And one of the things that I found with clothes is, okay, ChatGPT, and like this is also why it's important to make time for yourself, because if you don't make that time for yourself, you're not going to make time to be able to educate yourself with the ongoing changes that are happening. Sometimes you like silo yourself where you're building in this one track lane that you lose track of all the other innovations that are happening that can completely stampede what you're working on. So with clothes, I'm like building this transaction real estate coordinator, which is something that like I built really quickly. I started getting a lot of users, and I started getting partnerships with like Follow Up Boss and like all of these major companies that are wanting to partner with me. And one thing that I noticed that came out was ChatGPT is starting to experiment with people being able to connect their tools and resources to be able to build and like take care of real estate transactions on their own. So then the need for real estate agents are starting to dwindle because people are starting to heavily lean on ChatGPT. Real estate agents themselves are getting even lazier because they're wanting to just set it and forget it and not necessarily add another tool to their tech stack. And while people were like onboarding to my product, it also I was seeing the red lights of like, okay, I'm starting to see this macroeconomic trend that's happening where
Yeah.
people are starting, and even my husband and I were talking about it. We're getting ready to sell our house because we're moving, and we were talking about that myself, where I'm like, we can do this ourselves. We don't need a real estate agent. And that was kind of like an epiphany moment where I was like, I need to sell clothes, otherwise something's going to happen. Like I have a feeling that the industry's not, like I'm not a multi-billion-dollar company like some of these other ones are, where they're going to quickly be able to adopt, and or ChatGPT is going to end up disrupting the industry and taking on over, and that's what's happening right now. So I quickly like pivoted, is what I like to say. I quickly pivoted and started building something else that I think to me makes a lot more sense, especially for my lifestyle and where I'm at, as opposed to
Mhm.
like this full blown SaaS company that's going to require constant adaptation, constant onboarding, constant funding. And that's what you see, especially in Web3, is you're seeing all of these companies going through constant rounds of funding because they're trying to keep up with innovation. They're trying to get more marketing dollars so that they can do onboarding campaigns, so that they can partner with all of this stuff. And I wouldn't say it's because it's, it's definitely a cycle issue, but then it's also like you need to shut things down or unwind, like wind them down and start building something that's actually going to be of use for the masses. And I've been part of those experiences, and I've been part of when there was major cycle changes that have completely disrupted companies. So yeah, I mean, it. You said it right when you said that. I've been part of industries that change on a dime.
So much so. I mean, and also not just being part, like you've been part of the building processes for a lot of the things that you've worked on. I mean, you've built like AI assistants that can listen, research properties, and markets generate tasks, with clothes that you were building. I mean, at what point does AI assistant stop feeling like software and then start feeling like another member of the team? And do you feel like AI is going to eventually start taking over at the rate that we're going
You
over
know,
here?
I that was the goal of close, is for it to be like another member of your team and to completely eliminate the transaction coordinator, because there was a lot of things that like my tool could solve. But in building, there was something that I noticed that I think is going to happen within the AI industry, and that's that the need of real people to actually execute, or to like, that's going to come back, because there's a lot of people who are really inherently lazy, is what I learned when I built clothes. They want an agent that essentially is like a set it and forget it. I want it to tell it, I want it to do this one thing for me, and I just don't want, I want to forget about it. And that's a really dangerous territory when you just plug an agent to do something and completely set it and forget it. Eventually, and I think there was even like a report that came out with Claude, no, with ChatGPT, where they did this testing in a sandbox environment. And then because it wasn't able to find the answer, it hacked out of its sandbox environment into the open internet to find the answer that it needed, and then hack its way back into a sandbox experience so that it can give an updated report. That's scary. So to me, we're starting to get into a territory where people are wanting like they're excited about AI. And I'm excited about AI the way it was with Web3, because I obviously see there's good, but then I also see the dangers of it when people are wanting to get lazy with it, set it and forget it, and it ends up causing more fires than it's actually solving. So yeah.
That's wild. I mean, I don't know. At the rate that we're going with AI, it's like one of the things that we have conversations, especially in spaces, is it going to eventually end up taking over a lot of our jobs? And if people can program these AI models to execute our daily tasks, like an assistant, like what are those Stacky uses them, these bots where it's like now you can them into your computer and then they send massive emails out, like for partnerships, like for uh, sponsorships. And it's like individually and personalized, something that we had to do the manual work. Now we don't have to do a lot of that, you know, daily task. It's doing all of that for you. It's like, are we going to be extinct at one point or another?
I don't think so. I think that's a stretch. I do think that it's like that kind of manual work is like a great use case for it, because that's what we all do. But I think that there's going to come a point where there's going to be a niche for people who know how to cater to those audiences, because
Mhm.
I get those emails all the time. I completely ignore them. But the other day, when I got a personalized LinkedIn message from this individual who was actually like doing the research, she was like, she knew exactly who I was. She knew exactly the companies that I worked for. She knew exactly the type of tools that I used. She did her full blown research on me, and then reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm so and so. We want to have a conversation with you about XYZ at the company I'm with right now." And I was like, yeah, let's chat. And that was such like a great like that was to me such a great example of what how to do messaging versus not. I don't think that there is a high return on investment when it comes to like those mass messages, because I built those. Like Close literally did that. Close, you could build an agent inside so that way you can send out mass messages, especially to like the contacts that you have, so that if somebody one of your contacts that you maybe went cold for real estate, um, a property comes up on their list, it would mass message them. And I think I got like, from all the data that I collected from the different users, maybe there was like a in every 500 emails there was like a 1% chance in a response or a reply back. So like I yeah, like AI is doing the work for that, but I don't think it's actually getting any results. So I think people are going to start to slowly abandon certain things.
I think everything now that we're seeing, whether it's images, emails, everything seems so AI, so technical. So it's like we don't even know what is human element because even if it's a human emailing you, it's like they are using ChatGPT. They are using, these softwares for them to send you an email. So it's like it seems like a lot of the stuff that goes out does not have that human touch anymore. So it's like you don't even know if you are responding to a human truly. And sometimes you are, you just don't know, or AI. I think that's the unique thing of it. But talking about Snackwise, because what I'm finding interesting, well, and it's not interesting, I think it's amazing that you aren't putting all of your identity into one idea, you're building again, but in a completely different direction with Snackwise. What did you see that everyone else was overlooking, that made you believe Snackwise needed to exist?
Um, that's a great question. And so it goes back to why I even got started and like how I am at like the way you described me in the beginning, where if there's an idea and I'm like, I know how to expand on that. And if I get excited about it, then I build. And that's what happened when I thought of Snackwise. And the reason why I started building that is because I was scrolling on TikTok one day, which TikTok recently for me has been a really great like educational resource. And it's because, obviously I worked at Reddit. A lot of the work that I do in advising people involves Reddit strategy because of like the Google deal that was signed with Reddit back when I was working there.
Mhm.
And that basically means that for those of you that don't know, that's in the chat, back in 2024, not 2014, 2024, when I worked there, Reddit and Google signed an API deal. So, for example, Leslie, if you were to go into Google right now and type in um, Apple iPhone reviews, Reddit usually pops up. And back in the
Yes.
day, yes, any product, you'll see like a Reddit article or you'll see like a Reddit thread. You can ask a really hyper specific question. Reddit pops up with the answer to it, walking you how to fix something. If you have a troubleshooting problem, my computer's not working, a Reddit article would pop up. And before that deal got signed with Reddit, companies would have indexed Reddit threads that were like 6 years old. When that deal got signed, Reddit now is able to index posts that are like a minute old, like right away, they're able to get it. And over 60% of the Reddit content that lives on the platform is being cited by AI. So it's everything that's being cited on ChatGPT or Claude or even like AI overviews. All of that is a result of Google's API with Reddit. And so for me, I know how Reddit works as a platform. I know that it's a great resource for educational purposes. But what I found about TikTok is that like there's no anonymity layer the way Reddit has it, where like if I'm asking, on r/health, if somebody can recommend me a holistic, supplement that's going to help me with XYZ, I don't know who's responding. I just have to take it at face value that the person that's responding is somebody that knows what they're talking about. Whereas with TikTok, you have doctors on there now going in there and providing education. You have individuals in every different industry providing education. And in one of those instances, I there was this health coach that went on there, and recently there was an article that I think was posted by Stanford. I can't remember who it was, about how when you go to the store and you see like avocado oil, right? That was or something that's listed as 100% olive oil. These chips are made with 100% avocado oil. 100% of them, or like 98 point something percent of them, were in fact cut with like a different type of cooking oil. And so I'm like, this is crazy. I'm expending X amount of money on really healthy food, and I don't even know if the food that I'm buying or purchasing is actually healthy or what it claims it is. It was the
Yeah.
same thing with like Vital Farms. I'm paying like $10 a carton for eggs, thinking that they're pasture raised and farm raised and that it has all of these great ingredients, only to find out that they're not. They're the same, if not lower quality standards than like the Walmart eggs that are white. And there's nothing wrong with them if that's what you can afford, great. But if you're somebody that's specifically carving out money to be able to eat healthy and to be able to eat organic, you should be able to eat that and not be feel like you're like purchasing another gimmick. And so I made Snackwise now so that it scans ingredients and it lets you know if what you're purchasing is actually what you're purchasing. And it also lets you know if it's banned. So, like if something in there has an ingredient that's banned in the UK or in a different country, it lets you know that it's banned or high risk in a different area.
Oh my gosh, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah,
I know I was looking.
I was like scanning stuff. I went to Costco with my husband and we spent like a ton of money because like they just opened up Costco near us. And I bought all the stuff that we normally buy, like all the things that I think are healthy. I was scanning every single one and I was shocked by my own building, by like the results that were coming back that were like, hey, this has this, ingredient, and hey, this has this, it's linked to this. And it's like it also flags if something that you're eating is linked to a cancer research article. And so for me, now that I have kids, I'm like, I don't, there's no app that does that. There's app that lets you know if there's like harmful ingredients and things of that nature, but it doesn't let you know whether an ingredient's banned. It doesn't let you know whether um, some of the food that you're eating, the ingredients on there are linked to an article like that. Like mine right now has a database. So all of the foods that came back as not actually being 100% avocado are now in my database. So if you were to scan it, you get an actual like notice that says this is not made with real 100% avocado oil. Weigh your options. And so I don't like to fear monger because I obviously like my hot Cheetos. Every now and then I like to eat an ice cream.
With
But I
lemon,
also,
con
yeah,
limón.
exactly. And tapatio, yeah. Like I love my stuff. And I scanned those two, by the way, and it was horrible. And I was like, okay, well, that's like a balanced situation. But I also want to know that, like, if what I'm eating and I'm purchasing is actually good for me. And so that's
Yeah.
how I came up with Snackwise.
Okay, I'm going to use it and document myself using this stuff because,
Yes.
I do have a special needs daughter too. And then it's like trying to adjust her food and things like that based on what she's able to eat or not. This,
I'll give
okay,
you
so
a code. I'll give you a code so that you get the like the free version you can scan and it'll let you know. But the code that I'm going to give you gives you access to our premium features, which is only like $5 a month anyway. But it basically gives you even links to those articles. So if you were to go, like, it gives you everything in there. Like it's a full blown, basically, um, like list of all of the top harmful ingredients, and then it gives you a list or it gives you like um, a ranking from 1 to 100 on like if it's healthy, and if it's okay to healthy. Um, to me, depending on the okay number, like if it's a high okay, it's still fine. But if anything is like ranked like yikes, then you want to take a look at those ingredients.
okay, so you're telling me that this app, when you scan something in the store, it brings up all this information. Now, and let me ask you again, is the information that it's bringing up pulling also from other parts of the world, not just from the US, or it's just things that are banned here in the US?
Other
Or
parts. So if it's banned in the UK, if it's banned in, I don't know, we basically compiled a list. I compiled a list. I
because
compiled a list. It's just me building. I don't know why I'm saying we.
because you know what? Me that I'm building this, what I'm building, I always say we because I think we have different things in
Yeah,
our head
like
where,
I'm so used to saying we, and it's
yeah.
just me, guys. I basically put together a list of like all the top, like which countries have the highest benchmarks when it comes to food grading. And so if they are banning certain ingredients, I want to know why. And compared to the United States, we have some of the lowest health standards and like when it comes
Yes.
to ingredients. Canada, it has banned a bunch of stuff, and Mexico is now starting to ban stuff. Um, and especially Europe has banned a lot of ingredients that we're still using. And so to me, it's like I want to know what those are, right? Like, okay, maybe something has high trans fat, maybe something has this, but if it's an ingredient that is actually directly linked to something that can harm me or cause Alzheimer's or cause cancer, I want to know what those are.
Okay, this is so dope. So you're telling me I could just go to the grocery store and I can scan a strawberry, I can scan an avocado, I can scan a piece of steak. and then it's going to
Yes,
tell me.
no. So you can scan packaged food, and if it's not packaged, so like you can't just hold up a strawberry and scan it. But what you can do
Yeah.
is scan the label of the strawberry. So like if it says Driscoll Farms, right, and you
Yeah.
scan the top of it, it'll research the farm where it was grown, and it'll let you know, hey,
Oh,
this isn't actually organic. They don't use any type of certified processing. The information that's on their label is just pure marketing, and then it will link to research papers. And it's the same thing with meat. With meat, you'll scan a label and it'll show this is not raised in the United States. It's being imported from like a different part of the world, because our meat is now starting to be imported from different parts of the world. So
yeah.
I'm like, I want to know if my meat is from the United States, because we have certain, we're really strict when it comes to our health standards, or at least our food grade with meat. But if we're getting imported meat from Mexico or imported meat from other parts of the world, I want to know what it like, what's up. I want to know if that is what it is, or if there's like injected chemicals in there. I want to know that. So yeah, you can scan it, and it'll let you know the farm. It'll let you know the conditions and all of that stuff. And if it doesn't, it'll the AI portion will do the research for you.
Wow. Okay. I absolutely freaking need to use this right away because, like you said earlier, our standards here different from other countries. And us Americans, we do get sick. I am a
All the
big
time.
believer that big pharma is programmed to keep us sick. And I don't know what the fudge they put in our food, in our
We're
system.
all getting sick at the same time. We're all getting like COVID at the same time. Like, my kids are all like, the rate of autism is super high. And I try to be one of those individuals that tries to keep I definitely love my good conspiracy theories, but then I also am pretty grounded into reality. But I also want to know, like, one, if what I'm eating is worth the money, but two, if it's something that's truly going to be harmful for me long term. Because if there's something that I'm eating that is supposedly quote unquote healthy, and I'm eating it every day because I think it's healthy, and then it's really not, and it contributes to Alzheimer's, it contributes to diabetes, and contributes to all of these things, I want to know what that is. And so I just scan every single one, and it gives me a health ranking, and then I'll purchase it or not. And there's been many times where I'm like, I'll go shopping with my husband, and I'm like, scan it, and he scans it. He's like, okay, I'm gonna put this back. He's like, I had no idea that it had, and it's even making, and he's not even that like super health. He's super fit too, but he's not even that health conscious when it comes to that stuff. But even now, he's through education, he's starting to realize, oh, this is causing me, like, I have brain fog some of these days. Why am I having brain
Yeah.
fog? So yeah, there's even that. It's like there's times where I think I'm eating healthy, I'm like working out again, I'm making time for myself, and then I'm like, why am I foggy? Like, what is going on? Why do I have this like weird, like, what is it? And it's the food I'm eating.
This is wild. Okay, so you are building something great, something that possibly could put some of these food companies out of money. It's like when your app starts taking off, the more people start using it. Have you ever thought of, and I don't want to say afraid because, I already know the type of person you are. Like, you're not afraid of anything, but do you ever think that some of these companies might try to come and shut you down based on what you're building and what you're putting out there that might put them out of money because people won't be buying the stuff if they use this app?
Um, I don't necessarily think about them shutting me down as more as like them reaching out and being like, we're going to sue you. And so I'm really careful about what we can and can't say
Yeah.
on the app. So, like in the beginning, there's like a terms and conditions, like, hey, just know that this app can make mistakes, especially for the ones that, like, if it's not in our database and AI researches it, like, just know that the AI can make a mistake. It can be relying on old articles. Maybe if this hasn't been updated, do your own research. So I definitely use a lot of that type of language, and making sure people opt into our terms and conditions, including companies. So if a company goes in there and they opt into our terms and conditions, they're like, they wouldn't be able to do something, um, if they opt into our terms and conditions, because they're basically agreeing that everything in here is for informational purposes. It's not to be taken as fact. It's not, it's, but that being said, I also think that it would be really telling if a company came to me and sued me. I think that would be a bigger story, of like, why would you sue me if you didn't think that was a big concern?
Yeah.
And again, also, I think that in this day of age, like me, right? We still have people that are like, okay, I'm not gonna eat this thing, but like I still am gonna cheat a little and have this other thing. So I think that there's going to be people that really enjoy this app. Like I already have 250 users and I haven't
Oh,
even
wow.
marketed at all because I technically am not live on Google right now. I'm waiting for, there's like a period of testing that needs to be done from external developers to make sure there's no bugs. And so both of those to go live, Apple's live, ready to go. Google Store, I'm still pending. I think like by this Friday, that should be live. And then once both apps are approved, ready to go, that is when I'm starting my marketing and everything and like all of the outreach and paid media. But until then, it's like very word of mouth, very SEO driven. The 250 users I got was simply from people like search discovery on the Apple iStore, the App Store. So it's like once I start marketing, I have a feeling that I'm gonna get a lot of users because if I'm already have 250 and I haven't even done anything, and that's just simply from the SEO side, then I can only imagine how the fact that I have that many with no marketing is very telling to me. Is that
Yeah.
it's needed.
No, it absolutely is. It kind of also reminds me, of other things that you scan, like the plant scanner to revive it if it's going to die or anything. So when I saw it, when I was doing research and I was like, Bianca, come on the show. And then I was doing research on it and I was like, oh my God, this is such a neat app. It's like we need to talk about it. Why are we not talking about it a lot more? Because we do need to take care of our health. It's like, why are we getting sick? It's like, I do think that a lot of the food that's in America, produces cancer cells, Alzheimer's, like ADHD, a lot of these things. And it's like in my opinion, the system is programmed to keep Americans sick. And otherwise, how are they going to make a lot of money? It's like they make money on sick people in America.
Yeah, there's also ingredients now that are linked to making you more hungry, literally. And so some of the stuff that we're eating quite literally is designed to make you more hungry so you can continue to eat more of it. And that to me is so fucked up. That is scary. Like it's one thing to already feed us with harmful ingredients, for the flavor or whatever, but then it's another to basically want to chemically program us to continue to want that thing. And
Hmm.
that's why a lot of people, it's really hard for them to lose weight. It's really hard for them to lock in because it's messing with their chemistry that they literally cannot. They are addicted, worse than drugs.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Like, what have you learned from building Snackwise that you never would have learned from building clothes?
Mm, that I think more builders need to focus on building like this is a really simple idea that I think a lot of people need. And it's an app. It didn't cost me much to spin this up. I was able to launch it on my own. And that taught me that sometimes the simplest ideas are the, like to me, when I sunset, where I sold the clothes and I sunsetted, like me being part of it, I was like, okay, sometimes the best, most successful ideas don't have to be this grand, super automated, like mega SaaS platform. It can be a simple app that scans stuff and gives you insights and like, and it utilizes a tool to fill in the gaps when you need it. And to me, building Snackwise, it taught me that sometimes the simplest, most useful ideas can target a way larger audience and help you build long-term success versus like me building this product that's AI and it does all of these cool, fancy stuff, fun stuff. It's like, yeah, that was like really impressive that I've done that and I learned a lot of skills through it. But like, who cares? Like, not that I think more people are excited about Snackwise and like, whoa, it does this. Yeah. And they're like, they resonate with that more so than they did with clothes. Right. And so
Yes.
that's what this taught me for sure.
Sometimes it's just the simplest ideas, right? Now, what's Do you have a bigger vision for Snackwise? So say that if 3 years down the line, I said, Bianca, come back on the show. Let's chat it up again. Um, we're sitting here 3 years from now, and it worked out exactly the way you envisioned it. What do you think it will become?
Um, the same way that like you see on store, like when it says USDA organic and all of that
Mhm.
stuff. I hope that eventually Snackwise is on packaging and it's like Snackwise approved. So that way people when they see it, they recognize Snackwise as like it being basically like this health score and educational software that really gives you insight and is extremely critical of like grading your factory, like where your resources are coming from. Are you actually technically, pasture raised? It like, are you not using GMOs? And like, so people would want to use Snackwise as like a like it approved by. So like I see myself if this goes where I think it's going to go, not just influencers really using it, sitting down, being like, "Hey, I grabbed all of these things. Is it approved? Like, does it pass this like health score?" And then eventually it showing up on like packages of people where it's like if I go and I see, you know, like a healthy alternative gummy bear and there's like a Snackwise logo on it that says this was approved by Snackwise, so that people have that like sense of peace because now stuff that is technically labeled pasture raised tech is not. So it's like Snackwise would be that like vote of confidence.
I love that. I love that so much. Now, I know you and I were talking a little bit behind the scenes, behind stage before we came on live, on the live. And one of the things that you said that resonated with me was now that you're building, now that you're a founder and you've always built, you've always had that entrepreneur spirit since you were young. But I love something that you said, and it really resonated with me is like that you are going to be very selfish on what you're building, and not give up or compromise. It's like I not trying to put words in your mouth, but what has that cost you sacrificing and not being selfish about what you're building in the past?
Um, it hasn't it hasn't cost me anything. I think now that I'm selfish with who I associate with. That's what I'm selfish with. Where it's like I'm building on my own and it's peaceful. If someone's like, "Oh my God, Bianca, I can help you with this and I can get you funding with this," and like this is a great idea, I'm really quick to be like, I don't need it. Like I'm fine. Like I'm in no rush. Like and that has cost me. I shouldn't say cost me, but that has given me such a beautiful thing, which is time. Being able to take my time on building, being able to be super picky with what I want, the branding, how I want the layout to look, the UI, the UX. When do I want to start marketing? Do I need to like, what are the numbers I need to meet? It's like I don't have any of those things except for my own personal standards and what I want. And it's cost me or it's given me a sense of tranquility in building. Whereas before, building was
Mhm.
super stressful. When are we going to launch this? When are we going to get this going? What can I get a project, calendar going? I need a project tracker. Like who's going to do this? Like delegating responsibility. When, what's our content calendar going to look like? What is our budget for XYZ? What influencers are we going to tap? What KOLs are we going to tap? Like I'm not doing any of that now. Like now I'm just like building for myself and I'm learning a lot that a lot of the stuff that I worked on the past, a lot of it was fluff. Like we didn't need all of this extra shiny stuff. Like I was really quickly to build this fun like AI SaaS platform. And then I was just as quickly to turn it off because I realized that I was like, this isn't what I want to build. That's not necessarily what I want to associate myself with. In the future, I want to have as much time with my husband and my kids. And like, what can I build that is at low lift, high impact, that doesn't need that much of my time, that if it takes off, I can then delegate to someone else, that I don't need to be the owner of it. Like that to me is my goal is I want to eventually be able to hand this off to somebody and being like, okay, here's like this stuff that I built. Here's the foundation. Now you help me build it because now I want to take my time with my husband and family. And I realized that the more complicated things are, the more harder it is for you to like step away and give somebody that type of control. So to me, building on my own has really allowed me to evaluate what's important. And to me, it's no longer important and it's no longer important to me anymore to be associated with like this is the coolest new tech and like, oh my goodness, this is gonna onboard hundreds and millions of users, and because the tech is so cool. And that used to be my reason for in Web3, where I was like, and then like come to find out, fart token or fart coin ends up like going way further than all of these other like utility tokens, right? So it goes back to like we're simple fucking human beings. Like, why am I overcomplicating things? Like, we really are simple. Like, it's like, so it's taught me that, Leslie, is that it doesn't need to be super expensive or fancy. It can be the most stupidest thing. People are going to love it.
You know why? I think it's because it plays on those emotional strings. People like stupid, whether we say we do or we don't. Sometimes, like you said, we like the simplest, stupidest things. It's relatable. Fart coin. Everybody farts, whether you say you do or you don't. Why it took off? It's one of those that
It
you
fascinates
don't
me.
understand.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Like there's one that just took off to butthole and people were telling me I got into that one. Did you get into that one? And I'm like, no, I got into another one. I'm like, why am I going to get into butthole? Bianca, it took
I
off.
know.
And
I'm
they
like,
told me
I'm
when it was at
freaking
a low market
rotating my
cap. I'm like,
Bitcoin holdings to DCA into butthole coin. Like, it is so stupid.
but it took off. It's like,
Yeah,
make that make sense.
but yeah, because that's who we are. And so Web3 has taught me a lot about building, which is like sometimes the simplest things are the most effective. It doesn't need to be the super fancy thing. There is a place for super
Mhm.
fancy things, but when it comes to what I want to build and associate and like what's important to me, I want to build something that's going to help me get to that goal, not the other way around. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
sacrifice the thing I want the most time with for this thing that's supposed to give me more time. Like, it makes no sense. So yeah.
Yeah. Like the craziest things. I mean, I don't know. But there's this idea um in founder culture that if you're not sacrificing everything, you must not want it badly. Do you believe that anymore?
I definitely think that when you're young, that's a very much a
Mhm.
thing. Like, you need to outwork everybody because you're proving yourself, right? Like, I think that it's opposite. I think when I was younger, I was definitely hustling a lot, but then I also have a really privileged mindset. Like this isn't what I want, but like, you should still be hustling, because even if that's not the career path that you want, or you're not at the job that you want,
Yeah.
you're still leaving an impression on that person. That person in 10 years, you have no idea what effect they're going to have on your career or in something else. Like, all paths connect and unalign. And I think that you should always work really hard and strive to be the best at everything. I still think that, but I don't think anymore that you need to sacrifice everything to be a founder. Building, like I said, is lonely, and it shouldn't completely take over your identity, because that's when things can get dangerous. I've seen builders completely lose themselves and almost go manic in trying to find the thing that is gonna, make them successful, or the thing that's gonna break through, or the thing that's like, it's not that serious. Like, there are more serious and important things out there, and as long as you keep that mindset, it's going to be easier to build. And, like, that passion isn't going to go anywhere. Like, build the thing that you really want. And if that's not successful, sunset it, build something else. Like, that's just my mindset. And I definitely work really hard and I invest a lot of time into the stuff that I do. But I wouldn't say that I lose myself the way I used to. Like, I used to just, like you said, 24/7 on call, responding to people like within a minute, making sure that they know I'm there and ready. And it's like, that's not the case anymore. I set my boundaries and I set expectations, but then when I'm on. Like, they can rely on me.
At what point have you ever, building and doing what you've done, gotten to a point where it's like, you've wanted to give up as a founder, where you're like, today is a day that I just want to throw my hands up in the air and just call this off, and then but you didn't and you kept going. Have you ever gotten to that point, and what keeps driving you forward?
I got more to that point in Web 3 than I've ever done building in like Web 2. Um, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the reason is because in Web 3 things changed so much, and there were so many like shiny new things and things that you wanted to associate yourself, and the community is incredibly loud in Web 3. They are the most beautiful, passionate people, but they can also be completely toxic in your downfall. And to me, I there were several times in Web 3 where I was either building with somebody or for somebody, and like I was going above and beyond to make sure I was saving a project that was like getting ready to just be like it was getting ready to go away. Nifty's was a great example. They got acquired by MoonPay. MoonPay completely just wiped out or sunsetted half of the stuff we're working on, just took over the tech, and the community was pissed. They're like, I'm left holding all of these digital collectibles. Bianca, you deserve to die. The amount of death threats I got in Web3 was crazy. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I poured my heart into like, building for you guys. And there was a time definitely in between, and even like, even after the fact, where I'm sitting there being like, what is this all for? Like, I wasn't even the one building this. This was me trying to support community. And I'm still getting absolutely ridiculed over something that I had absolutely no control over. So there was times there where I wanted to give up. And then there was times with clothes, not with Snackwise, because by then I had built the tools that I needed, but with clothes, because it was such a technically complicated thing that I was building. There was times where like I was like, am I in it over my head? Like, is this thing possible? Can I actually, like, is AI there yet to do these things? And there was a time where I was like, man, I don't know if like this product doesn't even exist. I'm gonna have to build it myself, which added more time to like the timeline that I had. And so I wouldn't say that it was necessarily me giving up, but it was me getting so frustrated and being like, maybe I just carved this part out and I simplify it. So it was a lot of just pivoting of that nature, but not necessarily giving up. Web three, the examples I just shared, those were the reasons why I wanted to give up.
Bianca, how do you even cope and deal with that? Because people in this space could be so volatile, and they really, and you have to be a strong cookie to be in this space. You really do if you're going to do social media. But at the end of the day, it's like those things can get to you. Like, how did you even deal with it? How did you even block that out?
It happened so much, especially the work that I'm doing now with Reddit, where it's like there's companies coming to me being like, I want to improve my sentiment, and then you have people like over the dumbest things. Like it can be somebody selling food on Reddit, and people are like being so disrespectful because of that community. I finally got to a point where it's made me look at the human of every single person, and me being like, it's not against me. They are clearly dealing with something, especially with Nifties, where I look back and I'm like, these people were sending me death threats because they probably poured their life savings into this. They've probably attached themselves to this community so much, and all of a sudden it's now gone. They are probably thinking that they're
Mhm.
holding on to these grails that eventually is going to take off the way it did with like Board Ape Yacht Club, right? You have like, so I was able to now, looking back at all of these situations that I was in because of cycles that have happened naturally, and just when it comes to emerging tech, that's just how it is. Things either take off or they don't, or it cycles themselves out. That's unfortunately how it is. Those people don't know that. They're not technically, haven't been within the industry long enough to understand that that's kind of normal, right? That happens. And so now I'm able to kind of sit back and be like, okay, this person sent me a death threat. Like, it's not that serious. Like, I pray for you. I pray for you that you are like, no, seriously, I pray for them, because if somebody is sitting on the internet sending another person a death threat over something so ridiculous like that, it says more about them than it does about me, right? And so I now take I step back and I'm like, man, I could have handled other situations so much better if I would have just removed myself from the situation and not let Bianca, the person,
Yeah.
take offense to that. And it just me like, okay, it's this person on the internet clearly really upset because they poured their heart and soul into something that they're passionate about. Like I can't do anything about that.
It's like you're not God to fix everything, and that's crazy. And you know what? That's one of the things that I learned in this space too. It's like depending on what you put out there and what you're working on, people don't take accountability for their actions. If you are going to invest money, if you're going to buy something, you have to take accountability that just because X, Y, and Z person put it out there doesn't mean that you have to go into everything and doesn't mean you have to buy into everything. And they want somebody to blame because they thought they were going to make millions, like the way that they see everywhere, and then they ended up not doing it. But you also worked at Reddit, and Reddit, they have a very strong opinionated community as well. How did you even
Especially about crypto. Oh my goodness,
Oh
that's
my
one of the
god.
reasons. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Reddit sunsetted the entire digital collectibles, like the arm that I worked in, was because of how like it was just not worth the brand exposure to them. And I mean, you're not a stranger to this either, Leslie.
Yeah.
How many companies did you advise that were like, you know what, never mind. I don't know if I want this smoke anymore with Web3 because it's very opinionated. They'll take to Reddit and talk about it. And that's the thing that I felt like is holding crypto back a lot is just how the community, it's its own downfall, unfortunately, sometimes, all the
How
time.
do we even get past that? Because me, that I am so embedded still in the community and in crypto, in spaces, and trying to build the brand that I am, the show, and trying to humanize a space that's very technical and fragmented. It doesn't get any better, Bianca. Like it hasn't gotten any better. And sometimes it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. And it's like, how does that even change? I mean, do you even think that companies still want to come in and build
I,
in this space, or they're just like try and then they're like, you know what, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know how, like I've worked with billion-dollar brands and companies, and then at Reddit I've had exposure to even more of those, especially the ones that did want to launch like an NFT or a digital collectible, and I've had to
Mhm.
sit down and like talk with them and like like a lot of my job was calming them down, like making sure that they understood that this wasn't like an NFT and there was like and even though it was just the tool, but like this is a basically a community avatar that they can rock on the internet, and if people want to sell it on the third market they could. So it was a lot of me trying to sit them down, and then they themselves did the research into like looking up NFTs and not even really what the digital collectible was, right? And they ended up getting freaked out and like pulling out, being like, we don't know if we want this type of brand exposure. Like the fact that there's an NFT that is technically an NFT, like we just don't want it. And so we got a lot. I've had so many people that were like epic things that could have come to fruition that completely just like companies were like, nope, we don't want that brand exposure. And so I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's actually going to get worse, which is really sad because I still love Web3. I still follow it, not as much as I did before, but like even now, like I'm still working with multi-billion-dollar industries, and they're open to the tech. But then the moment that they hear about the community and they do research into the brand exposure, they end up just pulling out. So it's sad because we're in a situation where the companies see the value. They see that they could improve their tech, whether it be telecom, whether it be in asset management, whether it be in like again digital collectibles, whether it be like a certification layer to prove it's authentic, and they see the value in all of this, and then they end up pulling back because they just don't want the brand. They don't want the brand association. They don't want to like ruin their reputation by associating that. They don't want any legal issues, right? They don't want people DCAing into something and then them sunsetting it, and then all of a sudden they're like they have a community that they left hanging, like they don't want even to touch any of that. And it sucks because like there's a lot of stuff that could have happened in the industry if it wasn't for the community. And I blame a little bit of the KOLs, even though I leverage KOLs for campaigns. So like, yeah, how do we fix that? I don't know. I seriously don't know. I feel like unfortunately the damage has been done.
Oh my gosh. It's just chaos right now. It is kind of what I can say, a little bit of a shit show. Can you still make money? Can you still market? Can you still do things? Yes. but I think it's more so brands and companies that have built here since day one. I think that's easier or easiest, the ones that are building. But if you're coming outside in, I think that's a little bit tougher. Now with
I
Reddit,
mean,
was
well,
it
let me ask you before you ask me that, because you're so heavy. Is there a product out there that you can genuinely say that's a Web3 project that is still standing today, that has onboarding millions of users, that has onboarded millions of users who are still continuing to use it on a daily basis?
that's a tough one. I think right now what I'm seeing is a lot of platforms that are actually building
No,
building to
right?
bring you know, there is one there's a couple that I can say, like there's ECA app that I actually came across in Miami. And they have a great program where it's like educational and it's to help bring and onboard people that are outside of this space that don't understand it. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really kept up with Pudgy Penguins, but I know that they went mainstream worldwide. Have they onboarded? I can't really say because I haven't looked at the numbers. I mean, you see the plushy toys and you see them out there, right? And do kids and adults really understand like what they are, what they do?
No.
Um,
The only thing I can honestly say that I think is still being used to this day would probably be stable coins, especially with international borders and like payment, right? I see that something that is definitely taking shape and it's probably going to revolutionize. I see there is like the prediction market where they're starting to experiment with stable coins. So I see that really taking off. But like, I don't know if there's, aside from those two, really anything else that I could see that is going to stand the test of time.
what I'm seeing, this is what I'm seeing. I don't know if it's specifically certain type of products. What I'm seeing is wallets. Wallets are the ones that are actually building to cater a lot more to daily use, like Tangent Wallet, like OKX, Dash. And if you're ordering your card with that, Apple, you're able to now add Apple Pay
Hmm.
to they have digital wallets and now you're able to add that Apple Pay. So what they're doing is building a technology where it doesn't even feel like you're using crypto. You can go and buy a coffee with it and it automatically converts it in the app. So you're not having to sit there and convert. Remember back in the day, it's like you would get crypto
Hmm.
and then you would have to go and swap, convert and do all this stuff.
And then that
Now,
exchange went
oh
under.
my God, the fee. And then it's like it would take forever, right? So now, for example, Tangent Wallet, it's very easy to use. It's like they either have cards or a ring, and then you just tap it on your phone. And there's a digital wallet that you can add to your Apple Pay. So if you're buying crypto, you have crypto in there, you could just go and tap the Apple Pay and buy a coffee, in the states that allow that. And it automatically converts all of that for you. It's like you don't even have to convert it. So those are the products that are coming out right now that are useful for people that are really embedded into the crypto space. When you and I first started, and when I started, I was very heavy into the Web3, the NFT, and there was always this gap between that world and the crypto. And now it's just like a mesh. Everything is merged together. I don't even know if we really even say Web3 anymore. That's even a word that the crypto space doesn't even like to use because it's like, what even is Web3? So right now in the space that I want to say that it has evolved more into heavily using crypto for daily use items and paying your bills, buying groceries, buying your lunch, and these are what the wallets are building for daily use, and then trying to bring on other people. Okay, this is how you are able to use crypto. Keep it in the wallet. I am going to tell you something. It's like for months I haven't even really transferred what I'm making because I do make money out in crypto and I get paid in crypto. I don't even transfer it to my bank. It's like because I have a
Yeah,
card and I could just tap, and that's what I've been to pay my bills, buy groceries, etc. Every now and then I do convert it, but tax purposes and all that stuff. Should we even be talking about that?
I know. Yeah. So for those reasons, I think crypto is obviously here to stay. But I to this day, I'm like, I look back at some of the stuff that I associated with, and I'm like, how, like what happened where there was like this mass onboarding. Even with like when I was with Nifty's, I was part of. We had over 200,000 NFTs that minted like that, and
Yeah.
people were excited and like trading these things. So what happened? Like I'm still trying to have almost like a post-mortem and identify what occurred. And was it the collapse of FTX? I Because that was around the time that a big reason why we went under is because a lot of our backers were part of that, and so a lot of our funding went out the door, and so we were kind of stuck. And we were like, okay, and then we start that caused a lot of negative sentiment where even the people that we were having brand partnerships with were like no longer wanting to launch an NFT. So it's like, was that the issue? Like, where was the excitement for all of these things where people were like believing in it, and then all of a sudden it's like all gone, and it's almost like it's yeah, a moment of silence for all of the NFTs because I there was a period of time where people thought that was going to take off more so than crypto, and they believed in the tech for that more so than they did in like actual like crypto, which is insane.
Yeah, one of the things that I can tell you it's starting to happen, you know, uh token launches, and now the devs are doing NFTs for those tokens. So that's what I'm starting to see in this space now.
That's you know what's funny is like that's actually an OG thing. That was a thing that happened back in the day. So it's starting to make like that's cool to
Yeah,
see
so
though.
reverse, because what were we seeing first? NFTs, right? And then people were creating tokens
Tokens.
for the NFT. So now what I'm starting to see is like these token launches, and now NFTs are coming after for that token. And now you're starting to see people sport them, and they're starting to mesh them together. So we'll see where it goes, and with Robinhood right now having a platform, it's like there's a lot of tokens that are launching on Robinhood, and they're reviving some of these tokens. Like now they're launching like Pepe on Robinhood, like Wojak on Robinhood, Bobo, like all this stuff. It's wild, Bianca. It's
Yeah,
you
like
remember
I
those
miss it.
days?
I really miss it. And then there's times where I'm like, God, I don't,
Girl.
I'm so glad I'm not. Like I was hanging, I don't know if you know who Manny is. She was like the VP of the Forbes Web3. Her and I were chatting about this the other day. How about like all of the stuff that she remembers when she was building and like advising with her clients and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, like I was like, yeah, like the cool cats behind me that I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
I don't know if maybe yeah,
I
like that
see
was
the
when the
little coquette.
Macy's Day yeah, when the Macy's Day Parade, like that was one of the I think it was after or around the same times that Pudgy Penguins did like their giant collectibles, like the physical. And so like I miss those times because that was fun for me. And then being excited about like the next phase of like this project and like, oh my God, how big is it gonna take off? I hope that we get back to that one day. But I don't see it happening anytime soon, especially like I feel like obviously like the tokens we were talking about earlier, that's always going to be something. Meme tokens are is always that's not going to go away. People love like my mom still talks about SHIB when I got her into SHIB. So
She
I
still
think
talks
that's so
about it, yeah.
and
I don't
Doge, yeah.
think Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think, it's like, is the bear market here? Are we bullish? That sentiment, we don't know, because it's like we're seeing stables doing one thing, meme coins doing another. The liquidity is just, being recycled from one thing to another. You're seeing where some of these tokens, it's one in a few that go beyond a 20 million market cap. Some of them you're seeing that they go up to 2, 3, maybe 10, and then they dump. And then here comes another one, and it's just recycled back and back. It's like, I don't think we're at that attention span where we can have something hold it and let it go up to.
There has to be like a pandemic again or something where we're all sitting at the house with nothing else to do. 'Cause- and but one thing that I will say that I'm keeping my eye on that I'm excited are the micro payments happening with AI agents that like Coinbase launched. I think it's like X403 or something like that, where they basically created a um, they basically created I don't know if I'm saying it right, if it's an API, but a way for AI agents to do microtransactions for you. So if I wanted to tell ChatGPT, hey, I need you to I'm need you to buy all of these things for me, it can do that now. So I think that's something that's really cool and interesting that I'm excited to see use cases build around.
That is amazing. Bianca, I know that we went over the hour. We're at an hour and a half, and you are a very busy woman. I don't want to take much of your time, but I also want to do a quick rapid fire with you. Are you
Go for it. Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Love or loyalty?
Oh, that's a good one to start with. I feel like they're both the same, but I'm gonna say love. Love.
Pla- Plan everything or wing it?
Plan.
Clothes or Snackwise?
Snackwise.
AI or human instinct?
Human instinct.
Build in public or move in silence?
I used to be build in public type of girl, and now I'm moving silence.
Yeah. Big team or small powerhouse?
Small powerhouse.
Take a
Oh my
risk,
god, small powerhouse. Yeah.
small powerhouse. Take a risk or play it safe?
Take a risk. I am definitely a big risk taker. Like,
Yes, you are. You
take a
definitely
risk.
are. Being respected or being understood?
Respected.
Money or freedom?
Give me the money.
Show me the money, honey.
Yeah.
Build an empire or enjoy your life?
Oh,
I
that's
know.
so hard. God, that one's hard both, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to enjoy my life.
Yep. Success or peace?
I think if you're truly successful, you have you have ultimately peace.
Absolutely. Bianca, do you want to leave us with any parting words of wisdom?
Um, don't lose yourself in what you're building, and make sure that while you're building and while you're living your life that you don't attach your identity to work, another human, to I- ideals, to always make sure that you're evolving and that making sure that you see the bigger picture, and making sure you really take care of the people that take care of you.
I love
Mhm.
that. Thank you so much, Bianca, for coming on and allowing us to go beyond what you've built and to get to know the person behind it a little bit more. And thank you for being vulnerable and unscripted and almost making me cry at the beginning of the show.
I know. I need to give you and Tammy, because I'm seeing her comments, a code for Snackwise so that you guys can get the
Yes. And
premium
I
version.
will,
And leave me a
ab-
review. Everybody, leave me a review. Reviews help.
yes. And I will absolutely take it out there for a spin, document it, and put something out there because I think a lot of people need to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, and then let me know if you're like, as a mom, I would love this feature, because I need more moms and like people to test it out and like let me know what they think.
Absolutely will. Bianca, again, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone that tuned in, stayed here the whole time with us, for everyone in the chat, the comments. Go follow Bianca. If you are not following her, what the fudge are you doing with your life? If you are not using her app, Snackwise, and downloading it, what the fudge are you doing with your life? If you want to stay unhealthy forever, then what are you doing? So go download the app. Bianca, thank you again. I hope to have you again
Thank
in the
you.
future. And
We
you
need to
have,
do one with Tammy. We need to do like a girls' night. That would be so fun.
are you down? Because I am
Yeah.
planning one. Yeah.
Oh, let's do it. I'm so down.
So where are we? August? I know this month is booked with shows, but maybe the 31st, maybe the beginning of September. You know what? I'll get with you to see what your
Yeah,
availability
I'm
is
so
and
down.
Tammy. And I don't know if you drink wine. We can also do wine.
Girl,
Well,
I'm about to have wine right now. Yes.
I've had wine with people on the show, so I should have told you if you want to bring your glass of wine, bring it,
Oh my
girl.
God. I would.
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't because I would have 100% cried when you asked me that question.
You and I would have cried together, I swear. But no, when we bring Tammy, I know we've had a show where we all drink a glass of wine and whatnot. But
Yeah, and
yeah, Stack
Stackiana.
Stack will probably come, not showing her face. But I will let her know. I'll let Stack, Tammy, and yes, so I'll get with you behind the scenes and see what your availability is, and then we can schedule a girl show. I think
That
that
would
would
be
be dope. Just talk
that
about
would be
life and everything.
that would be super fun. But thanks everybody for sticking around and hearing me yap.
Yes, and everybody stay unscripted. You'll see us soon. Thank you, Bianca, again.
Bye. Thanks.